Today we're unpacking the strategy behind a really interesting new institution. It's the Numismatics Exonumia Scripophily Museum, or NESM for short. Launched in 2025, its goal is pretty ambitious: to be the top global spot for the, quote, cultural heritage of world finance.
Oh.
And right away, what makes them stand out is, well, a major shift. They're moving away from the usual focus, metal coins, ancient stuff.
Yeah.
NESM is almost entirely about paper heritage.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating is how they're weaving together three fields that often stay separate. You've got numismatics, yes, but specifically paper currency. Then exonumia, that's things like tokens, local notes, related objects. And finally, scripophily.
Scripophily, that's stocks and bonds, right? Market stuff.
Precisely. Stocks, bonds, old securities. And bringing these three together is very intentional. It lets them show the whole ecosystem of commerce, really, much broader than just what central banks issue.
But what makes it different? I mean, we have museums about money already. How are they delivering this immersive storytelling experience they talk about?
Well, I think the key is its integrated scope. Most finance museums, they tend to focus on one specific area.
Yeah, like just national currency or maybe the history of a particular bank.
Exactly. They silo things. NESM forces a more complete view by combining three core areas.
Okay, let's break that down. The NES model. Honestly, putting ancient coins next to old stock certificates, that could sound a bit, well, confusing maybe? For the average person.
Maybe at first glance, but that's actually where the genius lies, I think. It's the insight that finance isn't just top-down. It's not only government power or big corporate deals.
Ah, so there's the exonumia.
Exactly. That's the third leg. Exonumia covers all those other things: tokens, chits, local or auxiliary currencies that communities use. It's the bottom-up story.
I see. The founder provided his own collection. We're talking at least 5,000 items, some really rare, apparently, going back more than 2 centuries. But okay, let's get into the museum's thematic angle.
Yeah, NESM seems to be leaning into subjects you just don't see in typical finance museums. Things like trauma, conflict, societal breakdown, using money almost as evidence of, well, power struggles and ideology.
That's exactly it. They're framing money not as some neutral thing, but as a tool, an instrument. You see this right away with dedicated exhibits on, say, propaganda notes, notes carrying anti-Semitic messages or anti-communist themes, finance as psychological warfare.
Wow, okay.
And perhaps even more striking, they have a very specialized, very sensitive exhibit on prisoner of war camp currency. Things like the WWI notes from Königshof in Austria. It's like a case study for sociologists, really. Shows how microeconomies just emerge spontaneously under extreme pressure when the state fails. It's not just ideology or hardship either, is it? They cover outright financial attacks. So they have a section, Room Q, on things like Operation Bernhard. That was the Nazi plan to flood Britain with counterfeit pounds, right? To destabilize the economy.
That's the one. A sophisticated historical example of financial subversion. So you see, the material here isn't just for economists. It's incredibly rich for political science, military history, sociology. It cuts across disciplines.
Okay, that connects to their bigger academic picture then. Okay, so that integrated collection is like the body of the museum. What about the brain? You mentioned this World Economic and Finance Archives, WEFA.
Yeah, WEFA is crucial. It's basically the context engine. It's not just about having the artifacts. It's about understanding why they exist.
So what does it actually do?
It catalogs the primary source, documents the actual laws, the acts of parliament, political decrees, official gazettes, you name it, that legally created or influenced the financial artifacts you see in the museum.
Wow. But hold on. A global archive of financial law, decrees, acts of parliament from everywhere across centuries, that sounds huge, almost impossible for a new museum.
It is a massive undertaking, and that's the vision. WEFA aims to be like a worldwide national archives, but specifically for financial governance, cataloging all those legal documents that shape banking and currency globally. And this is really where the tech commitment becomes crucial. They're leaning heavily on the latest AI technology. Why? To manage this enormous data set. It's multilingual, it's text-heavy, it spans history.
So the AI helps search and connect things.
Exactly. It allows for really sophisticated analysis. Imagine being able to instantly link, say, a specific 19th century French colonial currency note to the actual government decree issued back in Paris that authorized it. That AI infrastructure is what they believe makes this global-level academic study feasible. It supports a new kind of research.
And they're thinking about how people experience this too, right? Not just archives, these scene-based exhibitions.
Yes, they want it to be immersive. So the idea is to physically match the exhibit's decoration or setting to the artifacts. You might feel like you're walking through a simulation of the Japanese shogunate era or maybe the French Revolution to really understand the context, often conflict, that produced these financial documents. They're even planning specific photographic spots for visitors. So if you tie it all together, the focus on paper, the willingness to engage with conflict, the AI-driven archive, NESM is essentially treating these financial artifacts, these often fragile bits of paper, as vital primary source documents. They're reading them not just for economic data, but for human, political, and social history.
Right. So the core argument seems to be you can't truly understand finance or money by only looking at stability and growth. You have to study the instability, the breakdowns, the conflicts. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Thinking about the last century, what major event do you think has critical financial artifacts, maybe local currencies, emergency money still waiting out there to be properly studied, telling a story of crisis? Something to think about.